Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, whoever's watching it at what kind of hour. It's AsyncAPI Open Meeting. We have 4 people joining the call, so it's me, Fran. We have Waleed after some time joined us. Hey, Waleed, and we have also Pavel that created a project outside the AsyncAPI organization that is, let's say, to summarize why he joined today, let's say it's going to be a code first tool that we will host on our AsyncAPI organization. So Pavel wants to move his project to AsyncAPI organization and work, continue working on it, but under the organization. And that's why Pavel joined today. So welcome, Pavel. And let me start sharing the screen to show the agenda. Now, which screen is it? This one. Making it bigger. Uno momento. Okay, can you see it like well? Like especially for you.
I don't like this dark.
Can you read it?
I don't like your dark theme on GitHub. I'm too old.
Thanks for sharing your opinion. But still, can you read it?
I mean, there's not enough contrast in the text. I'm just kidding, man. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I also have it, but not the same one. The one with more contrast. But I see, yeah, this can be a bit problematic for others. It's not.
I'm reading this like this.
Yeah, it's not very friendly. You can turn off, whatever this.
Jesus, who joined this call? Wait a second.
It's fine for. I also have the dark theme, but I think this is not much contrast heavy or something.
Jesus, just a second. I will make it
open
white for you.
Incognito or something.
Here you have.
Yeah. Guys, it's question time. Yep.
Sorry, Pavel?
It's question and answers time. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Do we have official logo of AsyncAPI project in SVG or maybe PNG format?
Both.
Because right now I'm working on IDEA plugin and I need to provide good logo for HDPI screens and common screens.
Yeah, so we have it. After the call, I'm gonna send you a link because it's on Google Drive, publicly available.
Let me find myself now.
Okay, awesome.
I can do it in the meantime. We have it public, but it's not really shared. Right. We need to probably put it on the website at some point.
Any other questions?
I think that's all.
Okay, cool. So yeah, again, so the first topic on the agenda is this Java AsyncAPI project that you want to move to AsyncAPI. So as we discussed on Slack, the most important for us was to get the license file into the project. You did it, so that's done. And the second stuff is, yeah, we need to find a name for the repo, because if it's gonna be moved to AsyncAPI organization, then name Java AsyncAPI, it's gonna be super generic. So we have to figure out the name of the project. And then the next stuff, like extending README or adding the release pipeline and all the other AsyncAPI, let's say, generic content. That's, like, in my opinion, that's not something that has to be done before the move, because we anyway have many projects in AsyncAPI that are still not super mature. So we can, my idea would be just move the project as soon as possible to help you out with the verifications, and then just create a set of issues as a kind of roadmap, what has to be done in the project to make it more mature. That would be my opinion here.
Yeah, you mean the like these how's it called, conventional commit stuff and all these things, right? That we have set up for all the projects. Okay.
Yeah, so the
Maybe
whole
some-
CI, all the
Yeah,
workflows.
CI. Okay.
Yeah. But that doesn't have to be done immediately. Once we move it, I can start doing it. Especially that, yeah, it depends on GitHub Actions, secrets in the organization. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to work on it in different locations.
In the other
and then
repo,
just,
yeah.
So did you, Pavel, did you think about the name already, maybe?
It's a little bit complicated question for me, because of it's not only COSAS tool, but a bunch of plugins for Gradle, Maven, and IDEA. And looks like we need to split the project into two models: Copad with logic and models, and plugins bundle.
What do you mean by plugin? Sorry,
I mean Gradle plugin, Maven plugin, and IntelliJ IDEA plugin.
Oh, okay, but it's nothing about IntelliSense or anything, right? Like autocomplete, it has nothing to do with this. Okay, sorry, I'm like really bad at Java on Java world. So, okay, so I see. What's ready? Maven plugin. Okay, sorry. I'm having a look at it. Yeah. Okay, I see. Oh yeah, of course, because this is a code first tool. Yeah. I understand. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Yeah. I understand now.
But the Maven and Gradle plugins are just to make it easier to use the package in the project, right?
Yeah, and IDEA plugin for schema completion and introspection.
Okay. But then the split would be one repo with core and the other one with plugins, or also separate repo per plugin?
What about the mono repo here?
Yeah,
Maybe
I think that
makes sense.
I mean, for me, if it's especially the plugins for Maven and Gradle, I think they can stay with the project. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
IntelliJ, I don't really have much knowledge about those. How complicated is the project? Do you have to publish it to some NPM or something? How do you?
Right now, it's in branch IDEA.
Okay, but normally, like to have it like official, how does it work with? Because I never published the Visual Studio Code plugin. IntelliJ plugin. How do you publish it?
Well, I will publish it to plugins plugin section in JetBrains website.
Okay. Okay.
But I think that I will do it after transferring to AsyncAPI because of domain validation.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Jonas is saying if we can accept him on the call. Is he there?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm just uno momento. Wait, I cannot find my Zoom. window. Wait.
It
Jesus,
happens all
what
the
is it?
time. Like it's probably on the top, in the middle, collapsed because you're sharing your screen. So
See him on the list to let him in. I see 4 people like us, but I don't see anyone waiting to be admitted to the room.
damn. Can you make me co-host and I'll take care of this if he joins?
Your co-host now.
Thank you.
So by the way, Pavel, you have link to logos in the chat.
Yes, I already checked them.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So not sure if we really have to split the code base now. I would suggest to not complicate too much. First, let's just move it. Let's see how the publishing of the plugins looks like. Let's automate all the things, and then see if we really have to split. That would be my suggestion.
I agree with that. I will not split early in the process. Like I will just continue working there, AsyncAPI core, AsyncAPI plugin, then probably, or you can structure this differently if you want.
Yeah.
And then at some point, if it becomes a problem or some parts of it becomes a problem, then we can split it. Otherwise, because if you look at it from the context, if you move this to AsyncAPI organization and look at it from the context of the organization, then we will have a single tool split into many packages, right? This is the same as we did with generator. So the generator started as a single repository with all the templates inside, and now it's when it became a problem, then we started splitting out the templates into their own repositories, right? So yeah, so I guess that would be the best.
And even at start, the name is not really that problematic. It's just a matter of having an issue that addresses the problem, and let's asynchronously discuss it over there in the issue. Because if we think that because of having plugins in the same repo, it might be a problem for having a good name for it, then let's just, I mean, in general, just no rush, there are no like strict deadlines. We have to finish it before the end of the week or whatsoever. Most important is to help you out to join us, so you can do all the authorizations with IntelliJ, with JetBrains, and then let's start forward improving things. Just report issues, discuss, and go on. What do you think, Pavel?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. Then awesome. Like, welcome on AsyncAPI organization. Then after the call, I'm gonna write to you. Let's. I think you're gonna have to give me a admin rights to the repo, so I can perform the move, because it has the best if it's the best when the move is done with GitHub functionality, because GitHub, when I move it from your project to our organization, will also set up redirects. So the old link will still work and be redirected to the new one. So that's the best way. So just after the call, I'm gonna ping you, and let's start moving it.
Okay.
Okay, next topic on the agenda. So before we jump to the next topic, Waleed, do you have the whole hour to spend with us, or would you like to? Okay, cool. So, Franito, the stage is yours. Do I have to stop sharing so you can share?
Yeah, please let me share the screen. Why is it?
By the way, hi Jonas.
Hi.
Yes, finally. Took some time.
I had to jump through the browser instead. Don't know why.
Did you just wake up?
No.
And let's say,
Okay. I'm sure you can see my screen, right? So cool. So let me explain what is it about. At AsyncAPI, we've been working in or trying to work in different ways, as you might know. And Lukasz and I, we've been trying to coordinate the best way possible. But the team is growing, right? So this is a spoiler that I'm gonna do. Not gonna say much more yet, but I'm just gonna say that Jonas Lagoni, who's on the call, is joining us. On AsyncAPI. So we are now 3 working on it. So welcome, Jonas, and also we have Maciek, and let me help me here, Lukasz, to pronounce his surname because I don't really know how it is. Maciek Urbanczyk. Urbanczyk. Okay, so Maciek is a creator of the React component of the AsyncAPI React component, and so we thought that it would be great to have him with us and joining us, and so we just doubled the team. All of a sudden, we're now 4, right? So welcome, Maciek, and yeah, so this is gonna keep happening during the next half of the year next year, and of course that means that we have to work differently, right? It's not Lukasz and I anymore, or Lukasz and Eva and I anymore, and that's why we have to basically rearrange the work and work a little bit different. So that said, we've been looking at Scrum methodologies, Agile, and all of that. I mean, we've been doing this for years ourselves in different companies. Luckily and unluckily, I had all kind of experiences with Scrum. Good ones were usually when we were only 2 or 3 in the team. so I guess it was because we were not many people in the team, right? So that it's easy. It's always easy to coordinate. But as the Scrum methodology is something that wasn't fitting our purpose here. There are a few reasons, and the reason is that Scrum is meant to be, or it's thought in a way that it's meant to be like delivering constantly. That's why, and it has like a clear focus on speed, right? Like that's why it's called sprint, right? You have sprints and you have and that's why you have also these estimations, right? Like it's like you want to be sure that the time you have or during the sprint you're able to deliver this as many things as possible, right? But on AsyncAPI, things are a little bit different, because here we're not on a rush like what Lukasz just said. That doesn't mean that we are going to work slow, but what it means is that we don't have to be delivering a thing every 2 weeks or every week. We have to be delivering high quality things, right? So it's more, the focus for us is more on the quality than in the quantity, on the long-term quality, right? Because so far we've been doing the opposite. So far we've been following this approach of deliver, 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 even if it's not perfect. And this has changed. Like, for instance, one of the main pain points so far, it's been the spec and how the spec is structured. And Waleed was facing the other day one of the issues, which is the schema, where the schema is located. How do we update the schema? How do we release a new version of the spec? It was impossible for us to handle everything at that speed, because the tooling was demanding as also speed, right? So it's like, and it's obvious that if we change the spec, then we have to update all the tooling. so it's like, let's not touch the spec for now. Let's make some good tooling with what we have so far, and then we'll come back to the spec. But that's going to change, right? That's going to change in the next year, and we'll have a team dedicated to the spec only, and to the tools, and different teams, different people working on the tools only. So that means that we'll be able to work on the project in a different way, of course. Okay, so that's it. ShapeUp, what is it about? ShapeUp is not anything that we invented at all. We're not inventing our own style here. This is a known process. This has been followed by Basecamp for years. And actually, this has been created by Basecamp and used by them on their daily work at Basecamp, right? And it's been proved to work for them. I think it makes sense for us as well. It's a little bit different. So I'm gonna explain what it means. It means that we're gonna work on cycles of 6 weeks, right? Instead of 2 weeks, like sprints in Scrum. So we are gonna work on cycles of 6 weeks. The first cycle started yesterday, right? So that means, as you can see on the screen, I hope you can see it. That means that this is ending January 4. What happens after this cycle of 6 weeks finish? We enter a 2 weeks cool down period. This is the name. What does it mean, cool down period? So it means that we stop working on whatever we were doing during these 6 weeks. Things have to be delivered in this 6 weeks cycle. And in the 2 weeks cycle or cool down period, if you want, what we do instead is that we focus on contributing to other open source projects. We can work on whatever we want. So everyone can work on whatever they want, like fixing a bug here and there. There's no clear thing to do. Like anyone can be contributing the way they want. And we'll be talking a little bit more in the next months about this 2 weeks cool down period, because we plan to help other open source projects in this time. So I think this will be interesting for many projects. So coming back again to the next, to the cycle, to the 6 week cycle, let me explain a little bit more how it works. So we actually create something that is called a pitch. And pitches are just ideas that anyone can submit, but this requires like a huge effort on, like, it's not just opening an issue and describing what you want. Let me just show you an example of a pitch. Right, so for instance, this is one sorry, this is one of the pitches that we've been working, we're gonna be working on this 6 week cycle. And as you can see, this is not like a simple issue, right? There has been some investigation before, some tryouts before we created this pitch, right? I'll follow explaining what it is, why we call it pitch. And then this is another one, like data models generation. Like this is also a common problem for the generator and template authors. As you can see, this is not, right? There has been some investigation without entering the details of what's written here. Just open, it's open, by the way. There's some degree of investigation before creating this, right? So yeah, by the way, you can find this on AsyncAPI ShapeApp process, right? So if you want to have a look at it, let me find the chat. Where's the chat? Oh, here it is. ShapeApp repo. It's here. And also, but the way I recommend you to look at it if you want is actually have a look at here. Landing page is this one, right? So if you go to shapeup.asyncapi.io, which is this website, you will be able to follow how we are progressing on our current cycle. This started yesterday, so as you can imagine, we're just figuring out how we're gonna progress, how we're gonna do the task and complete the task. But these dots here are gonna be eventually moving forward, right, until the end of the hill chart, right? Which it means then that the task or the scope, which is called scope, is completed. So what is a pitch? Again, so a pitch is just an idea that anyone can submit with a previous consensus, with the community, let's say. So for instance, the way we follow this is we create an issue on the most related repository. For instance, React as a generator engine was one of them, which is this one. We started talking about it on the generator repo. And then once we got some consensus there, I started investigating a little bit more and how this could be achieved. And then I wrote this pitch, this long issue, right? Something like the pitch is a pitch, or we call it a pitch, or the ShapeApp process is called a pitch because it's something that you're actually pitching. You want this to happen, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be included in the next cycle. This is something that you pitch. So imagine, for instance, Lukasz wants to pitch for something like, I want an AsyncAPI UI library because I need it for whatever reason. He can pitch about it. And he has to provide like lots of details about how to make it work or how to make it happen. And then usually the 2 weeks or the week before the cycle, the 6-week cycle starts, we get to decide what goes into the next cycle. We prioritize like what's gonna get into the cycle. At that time, whenever we decide what's gonna get into the cycle, it's a bet for us. That's why you see bets here, right? So at that time, it's not anymore your pitch, it's our bet, right? And we're betting on it. We bet that we're gonna finish it by on the next 6-week cycle. So it's our bet that we're gonna finish it. And then, like as you can imagine, this 6-week cycle is a long period. So these tasks, usually these bets, are monsters, right? Are usually monsters, big ones. These are the so-called epics, right? So what we do is that we divide these beds into smaller chunks that at the same time, these smaller chunks can be divided into smaller ones. So let me let me clarify this. A bed can be divided into smaller chunks of related tasks, which is what we call scopes, right? And these scopes is what you see the dots here moving. Like I don't want to enter so much in the details of how ShapeUp works, because I mean, if you come here and you click here, learn more, you will see there is a work explaining this a little bit more, and there's even a link to the Basecamp. Sorry, not here. This one, if you come here, you will be able to see the book they have. You can buy it or you can read it online for free. So I really recommend this reading, even if you're not going to follow this process. It's inspiring, at least. There's another way to work in an agile way. So yeah, so this is basically my recommendation here. Like, just go there, have a look, and get some insights about ShapeUp. The only part that was a little bit challenging for us is that this is open source. ShapeUp, Basecamp, all these tools like Jira or Jira, I don't know how you call it. They're all meant to be working in private, and we wanted to keep using GitHub, right? So we had to adapt it a little bit for us to work on GitHub on the public, so you all can see our progress and participate as well if you want. So yeah, that's pretty much it from my side. Like, this is what we're gonna be doing. This website, shapeup.asyncapi.io, will be improving over time with more and more information. You will see on the history here below, you will see that as we make progress, you will see history points there, how we're making progress. And yeah, just to make it clear what this hill chart is about, the half of it is called figuring things out, and the other half is making it happen. Once you see one of these dots moving after the half of the chart, it means that we're already, let's say, coding it, or we're actually implementing it. If it's in the first half, it means that we don't know yet how to make it work or how this is exactly going to be implemented. So you will see probably one of these dots moving here in the first half, like we're still figuring out how this works. As an example, for the React as a generator engine, we need to create a React renderer, a custom React renderer. For instance, like you have renderers for creating PDFs using React. You have renderers to create for mobile applications, React Native, and you have React for the CLI as well with custom renderers, right? So these are renderers that are not working on the web. That's why you have React DOM as a separate package. So this is an example of a task that we have to figure out how to create, and that's probably going to stay on the first half for a few days, right? As opposed to create basic components, which is just it's a simple, let's say, rather simple task, and it's probably going to take us one day to figure out how to do it, and then it's just a matter of doing that. So yeah. Any questions so far? Yeah, Waleed?
So the pitch is something like a big epic, like have a lot of big scope. what happens to the smaller tasks, bug fixes, features which are not that huge? Where do they go?
Sure. So one thing, Lucas I think will keep working on them from time to time, fixing some bugs and small issues and all this stuff. And after this 6-week cycle, we have 2 weeks, right, where people can work on whatever they want. We'll pick these issues, these small issues, bugs, small features, and we'll use these 2 weeks um, to improve, let's say, to keep progressing there, right? If at some point they become something, when I say that this huge task, I don't mean that the task has to be huge in the sense of time. Like maybe it's something that you will implement in 1 week, but it has to be like clearly defined, and you have to investigate beforehand what it means, right? Or what does it take to complete this task? So, and we have a lot of them. Like we have a lot of these big ones, let's say, right? But we can always like group them by, for instance, we have a small issue here, another small issue here, and another one there. We can group them by a related thing, by a related topic, and include it as a pitch or as a bet, right? You know what I mean?
I don't think that would be a good idea, because if one of them skipped but you did 2 of them and third one you did not do, that would still mark the whole pitch as not completed. So I don't know.
Sorry, I lost this
I mean,
part,
if you group things together and there are like 3 of them and you completed 2 of them but couldn't make the last one, that would still
No.
mark the pitch as not completed even if you did. So I would prefer keeping them separate and finishing up and then just getting rid of it, rather than grouping them and then it just takes more time.
So whenever I understand, but whenever we say grouping things here, whenever we make a pitch, we first make sure with the team that this is something we can finish during the 6-week cycle, right? Otherwise, we don't put it in the cycle. And it's not like an estimation. This is not like I want people to estimate how much or how long this is going to take. We're not going to be doing estimations. We're going to do something we call appetite, right? And appetite is how much time do we want to spend on something, and which is different than how long this is going to take, right? Is for instance, we want to work on, I don't know, a small issue somewhere, small issue that might take you 5 days to complete the issue, but we can say that we have an appetite of 6 weeks. That means that we will be happy to spend 6 weeks on this because we want this fixed now, right? We don't care if it takes 5 days. If needed, we will be happy to dedicate 6 weeks to this. That's what it means, right? That's as opposed to estimation. But that's why I was saying that before pitching for this, the person in charge of writing the pitch should make sure that this is something that can be actually completed, and you have to remove the unknowns, right? And you have to so for instance, one of the things here on the React as a generator engine, one of the things that I identified here, or that listed, is rabbit hole and challenges, right? So a few things that can be challenging, and a few things, and also that can be rabbit holes in the sense of this is something that you might spend a lot of time digging into without being able to complete it, and that can threat, let's say that can threat the bet from being finished, right? And also there's another section which is out of bounds, which is like we don't want to go there. It's like it will be great to have this at some point. Yes, there's also some nice to haves, like yes, we want to, at some point we might want to go there, but let's leave this. There's like a kind of inside the bed. There's like a sub list of smaller tasks, which are like these are core and these are not. And if by the end also this kind of chart help us, like if by let's say it's the third week of the cycle and or the second week of the cycle, and I see that there are many dots right here in the beginning in the first half, then something bad is going to happen, because you should be figuring things out like in a few days. If after a few days you don't know how you're going to implement something, then this task is likely going to fail, right? That's why this chart is important in this case, right? Like I understand the fear that if we group things together, you might complete two and not the third one, but yeah, that will not be the case. If that's the case, then we always have this 2 weeks period, cooldown period, where we can just finish this the remaining one and reevaluate what happened, and then for the next one we will be more careful, of course. It's not a perfect solution either. Like there's no perfect solution.
Yeah, makes sense. And not everything. I was just like, not everything needs to be a pitch. Smaller things can stay as issues in the GitHub, and
they have to. Like everything has to be a smaller issue first.
Yeah.
And then from there, you might not have to write a pitch at any time. Like you might just submit an issue. Like you say, like, I would love this to happen. I have an idea, maybe or not. I just want this to happen. And then if we think this is something we want to work on, maybe I don't even ask you to work on this. Maybe I work on this myself, or I work on this myself with your help. Or, we're not going to ask the community to write this long the script, because it takes time. It took me more than a week.
There could be cases that there's no long thing. It's just a small thing itself. It's a small change, and it's just like maybe 1 or 2 days of work, and then we don't need to like go into the process of all this documentation and page. Rather, just work on it and move forward.
Yep. Yeah, so that's just sorry, just to make it clear, this process is for us. It's for the team working full time on AsyncAPI. It's not for the whole community. Sorry for the confusion. So you can just submit any pull request at any time, right? It's not like you can pick one of the issues and say like, hey,
okay.
I take this one, I'm gonna fix it. Right?
Like everything. I thought this is for like anything goes through.
No. No, because it will be impossible to coordinate with the rest of the people, right? With the whole world, right? That will be impossible. But yeah, sorry for not clarifying this.
Sorry, makes sense.
Yeah, and anyway, it should be as easy as possible to the outside contributors, right? So it's
exactly
it's only for the core contributors working full time on AsyncAPI.
Yeah,
and we just want to be fully transparent with what we focus on.
Exactly.
Yeah. And to add to what you said, and also Fran confirmed, like the fixes, that's not going to be in risk, because there's always going to be one person of the cycle. So responsible, like on a maintenance duty, let's say, helping on Slack and helping with the fixes. So this first cycle, that's me. So I'm not going to work on those pitches at all. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be there for the community to help out.
Yeah, me too as well. Like this in this first cycle, only Jonas and Maciek are going to work on these bets, data models generation and React as a generator engine. Where, as you can see, when you land here, there's nothing on the data models generation. It's because we're still figuring like dividing the bets into smaller scopes. That's what we're doing right now, right? So in the next days, you should start seeing more dots appearing here, right? Like all the groups. And this is just for us to, like Lukasz said, this is just for us to be transparent with the community of what we're doing and how we're progressing, right? We don't want to use Basecamp or Jira or Trello or anything that's private and it's invitation. we want to keep using GitHub, which is transparent, and you don't need an invitation to see how we're doing, right? And yeah, this whole dashboard is powered by the GitHub issues. So there's no database behind the scenes or anything. It's all using the GitHub API and the AsyncAPI API as well. So yeah.
By the way, Jira is also available for open source projects, which you don't need to have a account or something. You can just go there and see. Like Apache Kafka uses their whole like Jira is open source. You can log in, comment, ask for issues or these things. But yeah, the database is separate because you may have duplicates. Some things on GitHub and some things in the Jira.
Exactly. We don't want to have duplicates. We don't want to create a Jira ticket for a GitHub issue, right? It's like we want to work directly on the GitHub issue. So that's why we created it.
Maybe in future when the team grows, you can evaluate to have other tool, but I think makes sense to keep it simple.
Yeah, I mean, ideally we should be able to keep working in public in GitHub. And if the tools are not there, I mean, we have AsyncHub, so AsyncHub should be more than enough. AsyncHub plus GitHub, so using the APIs and improving this dashboard. And also this dashboard, my plan is to make this dashboard, it's already open source, but to make it a little bit generic so anyone can contribute to it and use it, so we can other open source projects can use it, right?
Makes sense.
That will be great.
Okay, so last question for this topic, because 5 minutes left. So last question from my side. Fran, did you plan, I mean, once we finally can openly say why we grow from 2 to 4, how we did it, did you plan in this announcement or maybe rather in a separate blog post to describe this workflow? Did you plan to do it maybe?
I plan to actually like write a blog post about it, but after we finish the first cycle, just for us to have like a kind of insights of what's working, what's not. You know, like
makes sense.
I wanted us to try it first, right?
Okay, cool.
I just wanted to share it. I think it was like a good idea that you suggested that I presented here on our calls. So for people really interested in the project, that I think it's fair that you know in advance that we're gonna try this. But for sure, this is gonna change. This is we'll have to adapt. There will be problems during the cycle and things we didn't think about. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I think writing the blog post after first cycle makes a lot of sense. Yeah, cool. And then we can link it somehow from the main page, from the landing page or something.
That's a React component, so this can be actually embedded. This can be embedded on the embedded, right? So it's everything is React here.
True story.
Like the website. Cool.
So I'm not gonna jump into sharing again. Just mention last topic from the agenda. So yeah, it's Waleed. I don't think I have to introduce. If you can.
Yeah, my questions are around how's the release process and for the schema itself, and why don't we roll out changes if they don't have any impact, or if we do, like how do we tackle that? I know there could be some side effects and these things, but if we know about bug fixes or features requests which are coming in which don't have side impacts or which are ready, well, how do we hold them, or why do we hold them for how long? Like, what's the whole thing?
Shall I? Okay. So yeah, like I said before, man, sorry for that, but the thing, it's being a matter of bandwidth. Like, we couldn't handle everything.
I can answer, but
You can answer, you said? Lukasz has disconnected.
Yeah.
And are you back, Lukasz? I can see you perfectly, Waleed. I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah,
but-
I don't know. Maybe it's his connection.
Okay.
So yeah, let's continue with this. Oh, he's back.
Mhm.
You can hear me, Lukasz?
I think no.
He cannot. So let me. I don't know what happened. Okay.
Okay, I
so,
think it's
yeah.
now back. Can you hear
Okay.
me now? Like real
Yeah,
time
yeah.
without delay?
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, you started, so
Raise your hand if it's real time. Okay, it's almost real time.
No, it's just I'm just slow.
So I was saying, Waleed, that so the thing is that it was a matter of bandwidth. Like we're focused on releasing parser version 1, generator version 1. On my side, I'm not doing a lot of code or spec or anything because I'm in the process of this transformation where we start hiring a lot of people. So I'm almost not available for coding and I haven't been in the last months, right? So it was like, if we make a change in the spec, then people will expect that this feature will be introduced into the tooling as well, right? And if we do if we only accept fixes, that's fine. Like we can always accept fixes and all this stuff, but there are a few problems. The way we are touching, let's say, or contributing to the spec right now, it's super wrong because we're modifying the 2.0.0 version, right, directly. And at some point this needs to be split, like, okay, 2.0.0 is finished, it cannot be touched. This is what it is. And maybe we start working on 2.0.1, which is a fix of this one, right? And for this, we don't need to release any tooling or anything. This is just a fix on the spec itself, right? That's how I see it. But again, we don't have this process in place yet because we had now time to work on this basically. And also, for instance, the change you did the other day wasn't introducing a breaking change, but it was introducing a new feature. So it's not a patch version, it's a minor version that will be increased. It's 2.1, right? Not 2.0. So that's why I was like, okay, let's put it on hold in the meantime, because we need to figure out what's gonna be the process of releasing a new version of the spec, right? At the time I released version 2, I was working alone on the spec. It was just myself last year. Seems like a lifetime, but it was like last year. So now we have to really change this process and probably automate it as well. And yeah, and there should be like a review process whenever you add a patch. That's fine because it shouldn't have an impact. But whenever you add a minor version, that will be reviewed. And probably there should be some people, some designated people, which we don't know yet who will be, that review this change, right? Like a committee or technical committee or something that knows about the spec. And especially if we can have some people that are users of the spec and have a look at this new feature, and that they can communicate if they like the feature as it is, or this will be something different because they have the same need but slightly different. this must be something that we work on as a team, right? It's not just someone comes, propose a new feature, and it's added immediately, because it's a spec. If it was a tool, it will not be that difficult. But if you add to a spec, then you are committed to maintain support to this spec for a long time, right? Like we will, if we make a mistake on the spec, then we will have to maintain this mistake for a long time, right? Or you know what I mean? So, and I didn't have time to really evaluate your proposal like in a good way. Like, let's sit down, let's put some real use cases and see how it fits. So yeah, it was like, yeah, it's nice that you proposed it. We merge it because we think it makes sense, but we don't release a new version yet, right? Not yet, because for the same reason, like we need to figure out if this actually, the whole thing makes sense, right? We have to test it, basically.
Makes sense to me. I'll just wrap up. I have another stand up with my team. So one thing was not clear to me is that if there are some other things which I know, like these are the things we need to have for 2.1, and then I work on that and help you also release that if it's like some clear points. The second thing is that I don't want other requirements or other requested features to blocking something which is ready. Like I see in the roadmap, we have some of the things listed down already for 2.1, but they have not been discussed. They need to be revisited. There needs a lot of work. So I don't want other things which have some work required to keep blocking something which are done. I want us to keep releasing some minor versions and getting reviews. But I like your idea that we don't want to release a version until we get enough feedback from the community, because maybe people are not that much active. Like usually people are not that much active about the open source projects until they face the issue, until they start using it. When it's reviewed, they are not there at that time. And later on, they show up and see like, yeah, you did this and we don't know, and this does not solve our this use case or that use case. Could there be a way we can do 2.1/beta, 2.1/alpha, and people start using it, and then we will be able to get some feedbacks of people who are using it, adjust it, and then release a 2.1, which is more stable.
Yeah, so that's actually the way we will proceed with this, because with release candidates or beta or alpha or whatever, for the minor and major versions, for the patch versions, I don't think we need to be releasing anything. It's just a patch should happen like immediately, right? Like you find something, we patch it. There should be something that triggers a new release of the spec, and we don't have to be releasing manually this and making a whole event that we release a new version of the spec, because it's just a patch. It's probably a typo on the text or something like this, right? But for minor and major versions, we probably, so my thought, keeping it short, is I think we should have like a calendar, we should at least release twice a year at the very least for the spec, right? And for minor and major versions. And then it will be just a matter of setting these dates. Once we have the dates, we can set, so people can expect when this is going to be released, right? So yeah, sorry, I have to open the door just a sec.
Okay, so we could do like he's saying twice a year, but I'm still thinking we could do release candidates earlier on need base and take them as review, and then because if we don't. Okay, so Fran, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I was with the
So the one thing is I also thinking is if we don't release the release candidates or alpha beta, we may not get even enough feedback until the actual date comes. So I also want us to keep releasing some minor versions as release candidates or betas, which the users clearly know that this may not be same thing, but also us getting the feedback, because no matter what, how careful you are, if you release it and mark it as 2.1, people will come back and say, yeah, it does not work for us. No matter delay.
Yeah, no, I
After a
know.
year or 2 year, people will still come back because they were not used to it. They were not ready for it.
That's true. And one of the things that we want to put in place is that probably myself and maybe Jonas as well we will be working on a set of use cases, real world use cases, where we will test the spec against, right? So whenever we have a new version, we'll try to test the new version of the spec against these real use cases. They will be available on the website, and that means that we'll be working on the spec, but we will also be working on the real world use cases, like from IoT to microservices to a browser client or whatever with WebSockets, like everything. And that will be for us a way to get instant feedback, even if it's from us, but feedback as in using it in a real world use case, right? And the other thing that I was considering, and I still have to sit down and think about it, is following a release process similar to Node.js. So where we only maintain some versions on the long term. For instance, the even versions, the even numbers are long-term support, and the odd numbers are not long-term supported, so that we can, instead of release candidates, right? So you can just start releasing, and you only have to make sure that 2 point something needs to be stable and 4 point something needs to be stable, but 3 can be really like a playground kind of. I mean, you have to be careful, of course, but it's more edge. Like you should only be using 2, 4, 6, right? Or if you want to use 3, 5, 7, and it's because you really want to live in the edge, and you're happy to change it, to change some code afterwards, or to change some AsyncAPI documents afterwards, right? If something changes. So this could also be another way of handling this. In any case, this is something that needs discussion, needs to be written down, and it's a process. And I think we should be clear with the dates. Like we are gonna release at least twice a year, and for the reason that whenever we release a new version, minor or major, we need to have time for our team to implement support on the tooling, right? Because why will we want to release support for a specification, for a feature on the specification, if the tooling doesn't support it, right? So yeah, the core tooling needs to be like ready to support the spec, in my opinion. So
yeah, but makes sense. I would prefer if we could do release candidates somehow in the next features. That would be super helpful. And for this specific message ID thingy, the requested feature, so it would be useful for us already. I've been like doing a hack around it for 2 years or 1 year, and then another guy who actually created an issue in the tool was also wanted to have this thing within the tool. Then I was like, no, this is something schema should do, and then I opened it. And then Lukasz also pointed another issue already within the AsyncAPI where someone was asking for such support. So we already have some use cases where people are interested in having this thing. So
no, definitely.
if we could do a release candidate, ping those people, hey guys, we did this in an RC version, use it, see how does this fit your need, and we can make it part of the 2.1 in next 6 or 3 months. Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree, totally agree. Whatever we call it, release candidates or beta or alpha or whatever.
I like release candidates because I think
we need some.
they also do release candidates. That's why they also do RCs. So we little bit we align with them and but
yeah, we need some time to experiment basically before it's the release, let's say.
yes.
So yeah. So yeah.
I mean, and that's the only way to work on the tooling anyway. So you have to have those
Yeah.
release candidates.
Yeah.
So you can
Exactly. I don't know if you noticed, but the only repo that's missing this process is actually the spec. All the tooling has already this process automated, semi automated. Like I think there's almost there's just a few things missing, but it's almost automated there. And we need to figure out what will be the process for the spec. That's it, because it impacts the whole project. If we change the spec, suddenly it's like shaking the whole project. Like, right?
Can we create an issue to track the progress? Like, have a way of releasing release candidates, or like have release candidates who put an issue, we discuss it there, we finalize it, and then we start releasing release candidates for the schema, and people can use it, experiment with it, and then also document some of the stuff about dates, like you said, like every 6 months we'll try to release a minor version. If the release candidates are thumbs up from the people who have viewed. Can we track all this in an issue? Should I create a GitHub issue and then we can
go ahead? I mean, don't ask. Like you're free to imagine that you don't know us and you just go there and open an issue. That like feel free, man. This is your.
I'll document it and then see maybe within few 1 month or by next year we can finalize this process and then keep it rolling.
Yeah. Okay.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
But thanks, guys. Yeah, it addresses my concerns. Helps a lot.
Thanks, man. Thanks for sharing. Yes.
You guys are doing great. Yeah, I see the project from like past 2 years. It's just grown. Like
it's going crazy, man. This is going crazy.
I still don't understand how you just 2 or 3 people are managing it. Like it's nuts. We probably should maybe have more people. I don't know.
It's because we're hiring slaves.
It's because people don't take open source seriously. They are just like, yeah.
We're passionate about it. That's why we're happy to dedicate
having a lot of drugs, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
How many users do we have in Slack now?
Sorry?
How many users we have in our Slack now?
Good question.
200, 300?
In general, we have 800 something.
855.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Nice.
I still remember the times when we were like 5 in the channel. So so yeah, it's something. It's already something. So yeah. And this is, I mean, it to me, I don't have the data, but to me it feels that it's growing faster. So we get more and more users every day.
Yeah.
Or every week, let's say. So yeah.
Nice.
That's the feeling I get, but I don't have the data, to be honest.
Makes sense. Sorry guys, I have to drop, but this was useful, and thanks for the feedbacks, and I'll probably follow up on a GitHub issue.
Thanks, man. Thanks for joining.
Yes. We anyway extended the meeting a bit. So thanks a lot to all of you for joining, and yeah, Pavel, like I said, I'm gonna ping you right after the meeting.
Yeah, thanks, Pavel.
Thanks for
by the way, for the donation.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, we'll wait you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.